All right, my friends. This is Steve, the tarot guy, at the moment, the tarot guy. And in my personality tarot card, my personality card from the tarot deck for the for this lifetime is the Fool card, personality. And then one also, depending on the numbers, one also may get another card that has to do with one's life card, which is the Emperor tarot card for. But the book that I'm just finding so much joy in is Finding the Fool, A Tarot Journey to Radical Transformation by Meg Jones Wall. An amazingly psychic person and writer. I find it quite amazing that when I pull the card, the words, I haven't read them yet, but the words tend to be just like so right on for that reading. I don't know if they change every time because I don't have them all memorized. But I asked the universe today, connected with the universe, and asked the universe for the card that would be of the highest good for the world. So you are the world, I am the world, we are the world. So the card that we got was the 15 of Trumps, and it's the Devil card. And this card can tend to make some people nervous. The zodiac relationship to this card is Capricorn, which is the goat, and the Devil card is half human, half goat. And that Capricorn is about ambition, infrastructure, development, and focus. The Devil card is the 15 card, so 1 and 5 equals 6. So numerologically, it's related to the number 6, which is about harmony, nurturing, community, caretaking, movement, pride. The key words are blocked expansion. Our consciousness is keeping us constricted. Temptation, vices, destructive behaviors, getting caught up in ambition, power, control, distractions, losing focus, desperation. I felt a bit of this feeling of desperation, and others have talked to me about feeling despair. So despair and desperation seem like they come from the same root. And I'm finding myself getting very tight in the back while I'm reading these words. Internal shadows, that internal shadow work, that dark night of the soul work, which I felt like we've been doing this. Our fears being made manifest. Wildness, surrender, captivity, desire and cravings. It's a lot of energy in those words. In our efforts to be attentive to all our internal aspects, our focus gets a little blurred. Old desires start to take up space in our imagination. Our gaze, once so clearly fixed on a specific destination, wanders towards other paths, longing to retrace our steps and revisit people, places, things, dreams that we walked away from long ago. Patterns that we thought we'd left behind, behaviors we thought we no longer indulged in, creep into our daily routines, pulling our attention away from our biggest ambitions and brightest hopes. Dozens of small decisions build on one another, gradually distracting us from the road we'd chosen into slippery corners and shadowed shortcuts. We try to grasp onto control, but it slips through our fingers, or perhaps we cling to it so tightly that it becomes its own vice. That urge to call every shot, have power over every situation, master every craving. There's a wickedness to being wild, a kind of beauty in letting go. And chasing after our most profound personal desires. But when we no longer have the option of saying no, when the ability to deny our impulses becomes impossible, any illusion of control is shattered. And although it can feel like freedom to give in to those seductive yearnings, now we find ourselves in a dark, dangerous place, uncertain of how we got there. The line is so thin between passion and power, and as we dance between sensations, we lose something precious. The skill of discernment. Sometimes subtle, sometimes shameless, but always alluring. This is a moment defined by an aching need for something that we cannot quite grasp. It's a hunger for something uncertain that can morph into something desperate. I have had these feelings over the last few days, a feeling of desperation. Something devastating, this fierce temptation, this slipping under the surface, this hankering for more. It is here that we sit with the challenging, seductive lure of the devil. We don't always know when we're hiding from the truth. There are times that we deliberately lie to ourselves, cling to our denial, look the other way to avoid confronting the reality of a situation. But other times we make subtle adjustments, shift our path one way or another, work to avoid fear, and inadvertently also avoid showing ourselves compassion, grace, or kindness. Powerful, powerful words. With the devil, we find ourselves tangled in humiliation or regret, telling ourselves very specific stories about why we can't say no to something, why we have no choice but to behave in a particular way. Does this sound familiar? Shame is an ugly thing, one that thrives in shadows, in the unseen, in the secrets we keep. If we can remain open, align ourselves with community that helps us be honest about our needs and motivations and stay true to ourselves, Endless possibilities stretch out before us, and we feel a rich sense of freedom. I'm going to read that again. If we can remain open, align ourselves with community that helps us be honest about our needs and motivations, and stay true to ourselves, endless possibilities stretch out before us, and we feel a rich sense of freedom. Freedom's just been a word that's just been in my consciousness for days. Just freedom. When we isolate ourselves, get too fixated on a particular goal, become obsessive or caught up in an old pattern, it can become restraining and lead us into a trap of our own making. The devil can be insidious, slowly letting us drift toward something that has the potential to ruin us, and making us feel like it's our own choice, whether we are struggling to maintain a tight grip on our control or are unwilling to regain power over ourselves. The devil lives in those battles, tempting us to indulge our whims and revert to old patterns, knowing how we respond to stress, how we cope when things get tough, is an important lesson. And with this archetype, we are invited to acknowledge those patterns, to make an effort to change our course. The devil doesn't have to be catastrophic. It still offers us opportunities to make necessary adjustments, but this card demands that we listen, because ignoring this archetype comes with severe, permanent consequences. I was born under the astrological sun sign of Capricorn. So I'm going to read that part of this because this devil card is related to Capricorn, the goat. Focused and savvy, Capricorn's cardinal earth is ambitious, driven, hardworking, and high-achieving, welcoming in the season of winter. Determination and motivation are necessary forces, but in always reaching for something, there can be a lack of satisfaction with what we already have. Goal setting requires imagination, but can also pull us into temptation, urging us to take dangerous risks or fall into destructive patterns in our desire to win. Urging us to take dangerous risks or fall into destructive patterns in our desire to win. It's here that we find the connection with the archetype of the devil. This card asks us to consider the core of our drives, the reason that we push ourselves, the hidden need or secret darkness that motivates our impulses. And while Capricorn is steady and focused, rarely giving in to wildness, the obsession that any of us can develop for success or things in the material world is an intense example of the devil at work. So here's a few last words on this. 15, it's the 15 of trumps. That looks like the devil card with the horns. The 15 of trumps, 15 consolidates to 6 and points us to the lovers. An archetype of alliance and balance, acceptance and joy. 6 is a number of nurturing, of identity, of self-discovery. With the lovers, we see this play out in a healthy, joyful, harmonious way. The devil shows us what can happen when we don't exercise our power in a useful manner, or when we get so caught up in responsibility and the pursuit of freedom that we lose sight of everything else that matters to us. When our connection becomes toxic, when we abandon those that we care for to pursue our own selfish desires, when we resent our own responsibilities, it can leave us lost and alone, frustrated, or power hungry. The devil did not make you do it. Your choices produce the results you experience. Thank you, universe, for this card. May we all take these words in, find what use or value they have for ourselves, and change our lives in ways that this card supports us in doing. Phew, that had some energy. Now let's go.